guys remember in May 2022, there was this big story that happened to a beauty influencer by the name of Dre McCray. She was married to Von McCrae, who was an ex-Marine. He had ended up hanging himself. She had to cut him down, and then she called 911, took him to the hospital. He was basically in a vegetative state. He couldn't really talk, move, or anything like that. It just seemed like his body was just going through the motions. It didn't seem like he had any control over his senses. It was a very uncomfortable situation. One being that everybody believed that Dre McCray put him in that situation or made him want to unalive himself. It was a very difficult time, a lot of conspiracy theories, a lot of different bloggers getting involved, and it got really messy between Von's biological family and Dre herself. And I'm not gonna say that it was all the family's fault or Dre's fault. It was both parties' fault, honestly, to tell you the truth. Also, what sparked controversy was Dre's dramatic weight loss, not just in Von, but Dre herself. She was a thicker woman when she started doing the whole beauty influencer thing, and then when you see her now, it's almost like two different people. There have been rumors since May that Von actually passed away, but nothing was ever confirmed. Dre McCray finally confirmed 2 weeks ago that Von did sadly pass away. She did not notify anybody, tell even Von's family that he had passed away either. Now, Dre in this video talks about the relationship being bad between Von's biological mother and him. However, I feel like that was her overstepping her boundaries in that department. If anything, she should have let that woman see her son. However, she tries to explain, she does a poor job at explaining why she kept those people away. And again, they could be horrible people and they could not have really cared about Von and did all of this for money. However, at the end of the day, that's between them and God. I think making the situation right and letting them see their son for the last time or the last moments with him, I think Dre should have went ahead and did that.
Time, and Von is so vulnerable, and Von is needing healing, and doctors are saying he's not gonna make it. Why would I bring drama around him? When I seen that, it was like, you know what, this is not good, because he already got tested positive for COVID. He already got tested positive for something else. When I would go into his room, I wasn't even allowed to touch him. There was a doctor who allowed me to touch him with my bare hands, or a nurse that allowed me to. But other than that, I had to be in a suit, fully. I looked like I was an astronaut. He had a high elevated white blood cell count. There was so many things wrong. And I felt like, you know what? Let Von make the decision of having people who he chose to not see in years. This might not be the right time. He's ill. His body is in a dire state. It was bad. It really was bad. So putting drama around him? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. This is passion flower. It's just an herb. You can get passion flower at Sprouts. They won't have the powder. Passion flower at Sprouts, it'll come in an extract, but it's really good for anxiety. I'm talking about something so heavy right now, and my voice was starting to crack. I could feel my body starting to shake, and I when I get stressed, I shake really bad. So I need something to help keep me calm, keep me. So when I seen that, I sent a message, and I said that due to all of these factors, I think right now it would be a better time to restrict visitors until, I don't remember what. But however I said, and I didn't say restrict visitors. I didn't even say it that way. I typed out a very good, respectful, and tactful response. And the immediate response back was, So you're telling me I don't have the right, you're taking away my rights to see my son, or something like that. Those rights was something she gave up, not me. Those rights were something that, which is why his great grandma took him in and cared.
Going forward in this video, you're going to hear her talk about Von's PTSD and how it was triggered by him talking to his mother. Now, she never said like the mom said anything bad or anything like that, but she said he didn't start having seizures and start breaking down until he started speaking with his biological mother again. Now, she does mention that the great-grandmother was the one watching over Von. However, I don't feel like that has anything to do why he was in this depressive state or why he tried to unalive himself. If you don't have any facts to back that up, like, hey, this woman did this and that, or said something on the phone and that triggered his PTSD, if all you can tell us is that she didn't say, I love you too, she just said you too when he said I love you, that doesn't equate to that woman putting him through more trauma. Or if he didn't say that out his own mouth, and again, this is why unfortunately Von can't come out and speak for himself, but if he didn't say that himself to you, that this woman is triggering and she is causing my PTSD, this seems like a situation where she's trying to pass the buck over to his biological mother instead of taking accountability for whatever was going on in their relationship. Let's not forget, before Von tried to unalive himself, Dre actually kicked him out of the house and told him that he had to go sleep in the shed.
And made sure that he was taken care of. She worked at one time 3 jobs just to take care of him. Grandma put in so much love and time and effort to take care of Von and raise him. That's her baby. That's her whole heart. That's her whole world. She had 6 years to see, right? Grandmas really are a blessing. So with that, and then on top of that, it goes deeper. I really do feel like there's trauma, deep trauma that he was holding on to that manifested into a physical illness. And like those PTSD episodes that he would have, remember I was talking about where he would be crying and not remember who he was, not remember where he was. He would be crying for his grandma as if he was a scared little boy. Ugh. I did not want to trigger Von because every time, let me tell you before this, a backstory about this too. There was at least 5 to 7 times where me even bringing up the conversation to Von about reconnecting with his family would send him to have a seizure. It was once I realized it and realized the pattern, I stopped and I stopped pushing it. Because when Von would have a seizure, before he would seize, it would be like a total personality change. He wouldn't even be the same person anymore. And when I would talk about reconnecting with his family, because I felt like no matter what they did in his life, no matter what they've done, Von has such a loving heart, you know. Von, if God forbid something ever happened to his family, that would eat him up. And I knew it would be that way. So I wanted Von to reach out to his mom. You don't have to tell her your life story. You don't have to, talk about anything you don't want to. Just find out how she's doing. And there was even one time where we were live and I was with Slay Mafia, which means it was a very limited amount of people watching and listening to this conversation. Like, there's so many videos that are out there that were literally only meant for a very small amount of people to see. It was, a lot of people say, oh, you did this for attention. Nah, you weren't even supposed to watch it. No, not at all. Why would I, So, I encouraged Von and he was just like, man, they don't care about me. And that was always, it was it was a negative response he didn't want, you know? But once I realized that that subject would end up turning into him seizing, days later, I stopped pushing him to reconnect because it was bad. Don't you think it's a little interesting how after 6 years, he don't talk whatsoever, no conversation, communication, but the moment that he does, 1 week later, he is back into his PTSD state. What caused him to get there? Because I certainly didn't bring up a conversation. He had that conversation with her. And a lot of people swear that, because there's a video where me and Vaughn were live for Slay Mafia, our supporters, and he was talking about how happy he was that he was able to see his mom, or not see, but talk to her and have a good conversation and all that. That is definitely 100% how he felt in that moment, for sure. Then, as time went on, it was something that was bothering him, especially being that why was he being blamed? Why was he being blamed for something that they could have done too? Why was it that he should have reached out? Why is that his responsibility? You know?
Like, this is where Dre contradicts herself, because she says that Vaughn even admitted that he was so happy to be speaking with his mother. So what happened between that time to make you think that his relationship with his mom wasn't good?
Feel less than, you know, not only did he not talk to them for about 6 years, now whenever they do, they want to make it seem like it was something he should have done. Although I was super happy for Vaughn, and I'm glad that I seen his smile, I was so worried about him. Because I just felt like this is empty emotions. No, not emotions. I don't know what you would call it. But I just felt like it's not going to be a positive outcome. I just felt like this is something that worried me. And certainly, prior to Vaughn attempting, he was in a PTSD state for 3 weeks prior to what he did, which just so happened to be like 1 week after he talked to his bio mom after 6 years. What put him in that state? You know, what was it? Or maybe maybe it wasn't a month before. Maybe it was a month and a half. Maybe it was a month and a half that after, that's whenever he attempted. So it couldn't have been a week after, but it was sometime after. And during that time, he also sent a message to his bio mom, just letting her know that, hey, I love you and I'm thinking about you. And it was a love you too as a response, not I love you too. Excuse me. She didn't call again. She never texted. The family didn't reach out to him. What if that was just a reminder of what he doesn't have? You know, I could not even possibly start to begin what would be processing in Vaughn's head. But after all of that, in addition to all the things that have happened in his family that social media don't know about, you know, it has to be such a feeling of entitlement to think that I need to convince the public that the decisions that I made were in fact what Vaughn would want. That's not my job. I'm sharing why I made certain decisions, but I'm only sharing such a small amount of it. There's a lot I'm not bringing up about what has happened in their past, because that's for what. By watching me, I would hope that, and not watching clipped videos of me or people that don't know me from Adam, or people that are only getting views because they got my name in their mouth. I wouldn't trust people who have a very limited one-track mind about me to know more about any of the story.
Again, I just want to point out that Dre is trying to plant seeds of doubt. Basically, she's trying to convince us that whatever happened in Von's past, especially with his mother, this is the reason why he did X, Y, and Z. We don't know that for a fact because that man can't speak for himself, because unfortunately, he has passed away. I think we all have childhood trauma. We all have had things that happen in our lives. We have to remember he was a Marine as well too, so that could have played a part in his PTSD. So for her to try to blame it on his family and say this is the reason why she had to keep them away from him, because it was first of all, he was not able to even speak. He couldn't speak up for himself. You were making the decisions at the end of the day. But let me know what you guys think about this whole situation, even if you guys even remember this from 2022.